Prestige Living Podcast. Prestige Living Podcast at Shaq's Fifth Avenue. Oh, shit. End it.
I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Prestige Living Podcast. So with that, who do you want to be?
Nothing's fun. No, nothing's wrong.
What do you mean nothing's wrong? You seem different.
No. Different? I'm the same way as I have been since you met me.
Well, you've been hanging around with so-and-so a little bit too much. You know?
And you haven't been giving it up like you used to.
You've changed, Jordan.
You've changed.
Hello, welcome to Prestige Living. This is the 50th episode, and we are stoked.
Prestige Living.
Felicidades.
Today, you've got no guests, just all the creators. Sammer Madauer's in the house.
What's up?
Woo-hoo, Samir. Kane German.
Hola.
And Jordan Wilson.
Hello.
And myself, Jay O'Brien. So, we just want to kind of reflect on... I can't believe it's already been 50 episodes. We started this, the first one went live April 1st with our very first guest.
And it wasn't an April Fool's joke.
And it was not April. Yeah, we recorded that sometime in March, I think, and then it went live April 1. And our first guest, our guinea pig, was Alex Varkatsis, lead singer of Atreyu and the creator, founder of Hellenic CrossFit Muay Thai in Costa Mesa. And he was brave enough to be our first guest. And
episode ran a little long.
Yeah, that one was a little longer format. But the purpose of this is to kind of reflect and go over a couple of highlights and share some feedback and really thank all of the listeners for supporting us. We're just over 9,000 downloads, which is just awesome. There's been a few key highlights and guests that have really spiked a large audience, and we've met a lot of amazing people, a lot of great guests. We've been able to support a ton of businesses throughout the process over the last several months, and we just want to thank everybody. And then again, this is a platform to support entrepreneurs and risk takers in Orange County. And really, we want to hear your story. And if you know someone who might be good, please send them to us. You can also go to prestigelivingpodcast.com. If you haven't done so already, this will be the shameless plug that we never really do, but we would sincerely appreciate it if you can go on iTunes, provide a 5-star review, as well as some positive feedback. That would be greatly appreciated. It helps us tremendously. So...
I don't want to toot our own horns or anything, but I feel like some of our guests have gone, like, after the interview with the podcast, I don't want to, like, single anybody out or name any names, but have gone and, like, really done big moves after our interview.
Oh, that's just because of the interview, man.
That's what I'm saying, you know? It's like, indirectly, I feel like we're responsible for a lot of these people.
It's like we baptize them and bless them. It's like, bendecido, felicidades.
Now you're successful.
I'm going to do the rest of this in Spanish.
Do it. We need a translator.
Well, it's good that you feel that way, you know?
I really do.
So, starting off, Alex, our first guest, 871 downloads just on that one episode. That's pretty good.
It's kind of a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal. So, personal favorites, Jordan? Any favorites?
You know what? The two, whenever I'm trying to get a guest to come on, or whenever somebody asks me, so what's this podcast thing that you guys do? I always give them the same two episodes to listen to, or number 5 and number 30. That's Jason Quinn. He's a buddy of mine. He won season 2 of the food truck race on Food Network, and then he started the playground in downtown Santa Ana, among other things. The second interview was Jenny White. She is the... what do they call it? The bunny?
Bronze bunny.
The bronze bunny, the boss-ass bitch.
She's a boss-ass bitch. That's sorry, every time I hear that term, it's mandatory. I gotta do it. I have to do it. Sorry, Jenny, I love you.
And those two interviews are my favorite just because they're, I mean, whenever we release one, of course, I go back and I listen to it because I want to hear everything. But those two in particular were fun to listen to. Not only were they fun to record, but they were fun to listen to because it sounds like we're all having fun and it's not all serious. And we reiterate to our guests that it's a very casual conversation and it's nothing formal, but those were really casual. Like that's
when the best content comes out.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with
authentic.
those two. Super casual, and Jason was a friend of mine, and I feel that Jenny is a friend of ours now after having the podcast. So those are my two favorites, I'd have to say.
Her and I aren't Facebook official, so I don't think her and I are friends.
I can put in a good word for you if you want me to.
Do you remember, there were a couple of things that Jason said, I remember in the interview that were like, damn, that was solid.
Yeah,
I think we opened up with one of them.
I asked him, what's like when did you think you were successful? When was the tipping point where you said, okay, I've made it? And his quote, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have it written down or memorized, but he said, you know you're successful, or the key to success is finding when to tell that, like, the right person to fuck off.
Yeah.
I think that was the gist of it. And I really admire the way he started his restaurants and the way he's kind of being picky about his clientele. Like, they created their menu, they created their beer list, their wine list, their cocktails, and all this to bring a certain type of person. Like, they don't want everybody to come in. They don't want somebody who likes a burger that's plain with nothing on it. They want someone that's going to come in and trust them and have one of the best experiences that they've had.
Yeah, I particularly love how passionate he is about his craft and how he won't back down to the masses when it comes to, mass appeal. So
Right.
like when he says this is what you get, and we're so passionate about our talent and everything goes behind it. It's like you're either in or you're out, and if you're out, that's fine. But don't try and modify what we're doing.
Right.
Here.
Yelp reviewers be damned. I mean, when you put 2 1-star Yelp or when you put a 1-star Yelp review etched in the glass on your front door, I mean, that's
some
saying
confidence.
something.
And he writes on the door, it says, "This is not Burger King. You're not going to have it your way."
Yeah, that's the Yelp review that's
Yeah.
etched in glass on the door.
I love that.
Coming from hospitality, it's like, I've worked in restaurants, and I agree with him for the most part. Like, the chefs spend time creating these dishes where all these ingredients and all these flavors have to complement each other. And, if it's too salty if you don't have this, or it's too sweet if you don't have this. So when you take that out, that, can ruin the dish.
Right. And Jenny, she's flipped things on their head as well in terms of that business, because if you follow her on Instagram and you see the Bronze Bunny stuff, it is far from the traditional idea of professionalism.
Right.
And, they're dropping F-bombs like crazy, which, I can appreciate. And the thing about that's refreshing is that it's just real.
Right.
Like
very authentic and genuine.
She's very genuine, and it sounds like that she hires people who have a similar vision. And I remember one of the parts from her interview when she said, you come in there, we've got champagne and this and that, and people always come in and they're like, are you guys alcoholics? Like, yeah, actually we are.
Like, no, we just have 1 or 2. No, yeah, we've been drinking since the morning.
And clearly it's working out. Kane, do you have some faves?
Some faves. Mine was Ray, man. He was cool, and I told him during the interview, like, you're the most interesting man. Like,
Ray Gillenwater.
Yeah.
He was like all about it. He left his annual salary of $500,000. I mean, we reiterated that multiple times in the show.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm going to do my own thing. And he was just very personable. You know what I mean? He was very passionate about what he did. He did Muay Thai and whatnot, and did a startup thing. He rides his bike. He's very humble. And it's just like, that's something to aspire to. You
Yeah.
know what I
I
mean?
was saying the dude's very
cool
well
dude.
rounded. Like,
Yeah.
he's good at everything. Like.
Well, yeah, and he's incredibly passionate about it
Yeah.
all. Like the way he spoke about his Muay Thai training and riding his bike, just keeping things simple, keeping his expenses really low. And yeah, he's a fucking badass dude. Is
Ray's first fight, what is it, December 12th, I think?
that a Saturday?
Yeah,
I think it's December. It's on Facebook event, December. Ray's first
I
fight.
can find it now.
Yeah.
But Ray's first fight. So Ray, he runs the Work Smart podcast, and that's a good channel in itself. But yeah, $500,000 a year at 26 years old, walks away to create a company, a startup for that matter, that is yet to turn a profit after 2 years for him to actually be able to, take money out and withdraw himself. And in its own right, they've already gotten several large clients that are doing really well. And I like what it's advocating. It's basically saying that they want line level employees, middle management, executives, everyone to be communicating transparently upwards and downwards the totem pole, and then just for the greater good and for the better of the business. It doesn't matter where it comes from. So yeah, he's got a solid vision. Who else besides Ray?
George Mendoza. I felt like he had a pretty cool thing. I mean, him and I pretty much from the same area, Santa Ana, and I just like how he came up. He came up, lost his shop, lost his home, and said, yeah, that's cool. That's the way the cards roll, or the dice roll, dice, whatever.
The cookie crumbles.
But yeah, now he's got another shop in downtown Santa Ana. He's got that sausage place across the way, which I frequent like 2 to 3 times a week.
Worst house.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody. Don't tell
I
anybody.
was gonna say,
But
dude,
he's
your
super
Facebook
cool.
check-ins are.
Yeah, he's a super cool dude, and he's always up for a conversation. He's a real cool dude.
I remember when we were interviewing him, and he was talking about his first barbershop, and then his second one, and then he was talking about 2008 and all this stuff, and he's like, yeah, at the time I owned a house in Corona, and I was like, dude, weren't you afraid? Like, you had a mortgage to pay, weren't you afraid? Like this and that. He's like, well, yeah, I lost my house. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
fuck it, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
And he said it so casually.
Yeah,
he
like-
just, I lost it all, and he's back up on his feet again.
Like
You know
that
what
was
I mean?
part of the process. Had to lose the house, had to
Yeah.
lose this, had to get back on my feet. Talks about the vision of when he spotted American Barbershop for the first time.
Yep, he used to be a Ritmo Latino, and how he still gets some flack because of like this whole thing. It's like, oh, you're gentrifying the area and whatnot. And he's like, fuck you, dude. It's called progress. Like, get a job, pay your taxes, and let's see you do something.
Yeah, I
That's
love
cool.
his passion was amazing.
Yeah.
Nothing
There's
got
Sammer.
him yeah, I'm right here.
There's Sammer.
I was taking a nap.
Welcome.
Thank you,
George has 313 downloads. That was definitely one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, he was going to be one of my picks. First of all, he was just fun to listen to. His story, his really good storytelling. He kept you engaged. I felt like I was in a thriller. Like, what's
Yeah.
going to happen next? But it's crazy when you're starting a business. You have enough problems to deal with. You've got financial issues. You've got time issues. You got your family dynamic that you got to balance that whole thing out. You've got your social life. And then on top of it, you got the threat of physical harm.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's just like a whole different thing that most people don't ever encounter. So it's just the fact that he overcame it all and still stuck with his vision. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
What other guests stand out for you?
Bobby Awadala with UVO.
Dr. Bobby.
Dr. Bobby.
The guy, is that the guy that looked like Julio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've hung out with Dr. Bobby at Mesa a couple times.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of lookalikes from what I hear.
Yeah. It's just him with different alcohol in his system, I think.
Yeah. The U vodka.
And UVO.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the UVO stuff, that's cool though. I mean, the sunscreen that you drink. And then it was on the front page for which section of
OC
the
Register. It was like
Yeah.
Life and Health.
Live and Health at the Orange
Yeah.
County Register. Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, that's pretty cool. Like, dermatologist just comes up with an idea and actually executes on it. Everyone always has all these ideas, but very rarely does someone execute and actually go through like all the market research and then the distribution and like the product launch, like all that stuff. And I mean, in his own right, he's already done really well with that and raised awareness throughout Orange County. That's pretty cool.
What industry did he come from? I wasn't in on that episode.
He's a dermatologist.
Oh, yeah.
And he's still a practicing dermatologist. Yeah, he's
and I've
doing
used,
UVOs.
I've had UVO twice, and it's worked both times.
I thought you were going to say you've had like Botox by him or something.
No, not yet. lotion on the face every day after the shower.
Rubs the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the
No, I was
hose
gonna say
again.
I've used that UVO twice, and both times I haven't gotten a sunburn. So I mean, it works.
Yeah, the testing's pretty interesting for that
Yeah.
thing. A couple of my personal favorites. I mean, number one, hearing Alex's story on the first episode was awesome because, I mean,
You're a little bit of a fanboy on that one.
like growing up in the punk rock scene, the hardcore scene, like everyone we went to school with, hung out with, everyone was in a band.
Right.
Everyone went to the same types of shows. To a certain extent, admired the same types of bands.
Sure.
And you never really hear the stories or talk about the people who like had the tipping point for them, you know, because you're like, at what point do you go from this garage band who's playing Chain Reaction every weekend or whatever, promoting these shows, flyers, burn CDs back in the day, to like all of a sudden your buddies are in fucking New Jersey, like in a van, and you're like, oh dude, like what? How'd that happen? Like how'd you get there? And then from there, it's just like, you know,
Now it's in
snowballs.
Australia. And
Yeah,
New
so-
Zealand
I was
and all
gonna
that.
say that like a week later he was in Australia.
Yeah,
It's like,
it
man, I
was-
used to surf with that dude.
It was really cool to hear Alex's story and see how all of that progressed. And then, you know, Treyu goes on hiatus after several studio albums, several, you know, world tours, and he starts this gym, Hellenic CrossFit and Muay Thai in Costa Mesa, and I'd been going there since they opened, and so passionate about that and killing it at that. And then one day, I don't know how it happens, but they decide, Trey's like, hey, we're going to write another record and we're going to play some shows, and then boom, they're on tour again. And then now, as we record this, Hellenic CrossFit's no longer.
Right.
Like, Trey's back.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. So that was a kick-ass story, and it was rad to talk to him about like that journey, because every time I'd see him and we hang out, yeah, we'd be surfing or we'd be, at the gym. We would never talk about the whole Atreyu story. But another one of my favorite guests was Vishal Mawani,
Dude.
founder of Combatant Gentlemen. Dude, that guy, man, he's just got a fucking vision, and he's just an amazing individual to speak with. I remember when we did the interview with him that morning. You remember he rolled in from China?
Straight from the airport,
right? Straight from the airport. That was cool.
We landed at like
Very
7
cool
in the morning.
Yeah, he shows up. He just came off of a flight from China. He was in China for like 30 hours or something, and then came back. Like, he was just checking up on all the factories and shops over there, came back in. But like his passion for like just the fashion industry in general and his background in it. But like, what I thought was so cool is that when most people start a business, especially when it comes to a product, they have to outsource things and figure out, like, how are we going to make this? Where are the raw materials coming from? Where's the labor to put into this thing? And then you just mark up accordingly. Like, okay, the cost basis is $5. I want to make 100%. We're going to charge 10. Like, it's that simple. But for him, and he could have done that, but instead he's like, well, hold on, like, how exactly does the middleman work? And where exactly does this come from? And how hard is this shit? Like, and to the point where, like, a very, very high quality suit that could have retailed at $2,000 becomes $450 because he just refused to work with all the middlemen. Yeah,
he said they have their own sheep and they clip them themselves.
They shear their own wool.
He said his dad was a master tailor, and that was cool. I felt like that was cool because me and my dad are pretty close like that with guitar. That was cool for him and his dad, who was a master tailor, to kind of pass it on to him, and now his son's like building this empire, and he's just killing it, dude. I remember asking him, I was like, how do you feel about so-and-so competition? And he goes, they don't bother me because we're Combatant Gen and we're going to fucking crush them. Yeah. And that was so cool, man.
I think it was the opening clip where he talks about, like, I'm seen as kind of like a brute. He said, but you need that arrogance. Like, you need that kind of cocky attitude. Not cocky attitude, but just confidence to survive.
Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about that. He talks a lot about ego, about how ego's not a bad thing. He's like, you don't need to be like an arrogant prick, but you need a little bit of ego to like keep you driven and keep pushing forward. But yeah, it almost reminded me like of like Rockefeller to an extent, like with the whole oil shit. Like, you've seen The Men Who Built America, like where he's like, he's the oil man, and he's like, well, Vanderbilt's like, well, if you want to transport oil, you got to use our trains and our railroads, and it's like, fuck the trains, fuck the railroads. I'll just build pipes across the whole fucking country.
Yeah, that was
like,
great.
Oh damn, like, sorry Vanderbilt, like, that's, to a certain extent, it's like this guy has taken everything by the balls, and so he can speak intelligently about the entire process now and the margins and the revenue that go along with it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I honestly can't wait to get my suit from them. So stoked.
And I've been buying all my pants from there since I went there that first time. It's amazing, that place.
Yeah, that place is awesome.
Another guest that just came to mind was my friend from high school, Lindsay Hepner. She started Vamped, the marketing company.
Yeah.
I follow her on Snapchat and Facebook and stuff like that, and they have done some crazy, crazy stuff. Because I feel like when, she was already established when she came in here, but since then they've started like Vamped tours where they take her talent like to Hawaii or Costa Rica or doing this and like these huge campaigns now. And that's just another one that just popped into my head.
Yeah, it is kind of awesome to like look back and see, even think about like the general age of each guest that we've had on the show. Like, most of them are in their 30s,
right?
And so that kind of puts them right there in that millennial subgroup, and just, it's refreshing that we have never had a dry spell with unique interviews. Like, there's always been someone who is doing well, who has started their very own business, and that is their one and only source of income. That's pretty impressive. That's like not bottomless, but to a certain extent, like not hard to find in Orange County. That's awesome.
I wrote down a couple like themes that I've noticed, because you hear like, the entrepreneurs are coming in, they're going to have like a similar story, or everybody's going to be different. But there's been a couple themes that I've noticed, and you talk about the millennials a lot, and you say this, like, we're going to do things our own way. We don't need to subscribe to the way our parents did it or their parents did it. One of the things that I noticed with a lot of our guests was they saw, like, and the reason why you got into real estate was you had an experience and you said, I can do this better.
Yep.
I'm thinking like, with Joni Oldfield, who did the Animal University. And there have been a couple others as well, where it's like, this can be done better and I'm going to do it.
Yeah, one thing that I absolutely love about every show we listen to, I truly enjoy the fact that they all come from different backgrounds, different businesses, but the common denominators, that the theme and a lot of them is just like their vision, their passion, that they stop at nothing to get to where they want to be, and they all had that common experience that drove them to it, that drove them over the edge. And honestly, most of those people, they probably had a lot of, whatever it may be, friends, family, other people that didn't think they were going to do it or that wanted them to fail. And the odds were all against them. Nobody had it, something in their corner. I mean, they did it out of just like brute force and just wanted it to happen. And I love listening to those stories of just passion, vision, and then the eventual success that comes. And then also, if you hear a lot of them talking, they're not satisfied. It's not like they're successful and they've stopped. It's like they want to get better and better and better. It's like just they're like students of getting better, and it's great. It's very motivating to listen to it, especially because of the age group and the relationship that we have.
And with this age group, like 20s, 30s, whatnot, like that specific bracket, we buy the authenticity. Like we consume the shit out of that. So when people are real, like it could be anything. It could be a fucking pillow manufacturer, but if they're like, dude, my pillows are the best, and they just post on Instagram and talk about it all the time, like how passionate they are, pretty soon, like their excitement gets your buy-in.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's cool because even on the real estate front, like we help clients of all ages and, generations and whatever, but there is a certain target demographic that it's like, for me at least, what I want is for our generation of our age, the millennial group, to have the go-to agency and have the go-to brokerage where they're like, these guys get it. It's not like people aren't getting referred to their parents' realtors anymore. Right, there's no connection. Like they don't get it. It's they're not even texting like how the client would be texting. They're just not even on the same wavelength. And so I think it's so cool that, something we experience and we project every single day, but a lot of our guests are doing the same thing in their own right, just like Jason Quinn, like we're going to do it our way. Right. Hopefully you like it. If you don't, that's fine.
Right. That's what I bring.
That's it.
Kick rocks.
Another one of the themes that I maybe wasn't quite expecting to hear from so many of our guests was how much, I don't want to use the word luck because I think it might be more than that, but for lack of a better word, luck. Like you think about Jason Quinn, he was serving at Houston's and talking about how he liked to cook, and some guests they invited him to come in and cook for a dinner party at his house, and that kind of started that whole thing. And then even Miguel Ochoa, who we didn't mention, who was an awesome guest, the tattoo artist, he happened to say that he loved tattoo, like he wanted to get into tattooing, and the lady who was the cashier at the auto body shop, who was going through a divorce, said, you know what, I'm getting rid of my ex-husband's stuff. He's got a brand new tattoo machine. Why don't you come by the house and pick it up? Like, if that is not the stars aligning, dude, like, what is?
Yeah.
What I mean?
And then he just said he got into it, like dove in and never
all the
looked
rest
back.
became background noise.
I don't even think that could be like considered coincidence. That's like you said, stars aligning. Somebody was looking out. It's like, oh look, dude, I got you, boo.
Yeah.
How old is Miguel?
I don't know. I wasn't here for that.
Late 20s, early 30s,
I would say.
And the only reason I ask it, I just think it's so cool that you've got even 10 years ago, when the millennials were not making such a big push and such a big influence in the workforce, because like you're 10 years younger as a generation, right? Like now you're starting to see the influence and how the numbers are outweighing the baby boomers and stuff. But Miguel is this guy who's freaking tattooed all over his body. He cuts his hair however the hell he wants. He wears whatever he wants. He's a fashionable guy and whatnot. But like, the point is, he's doing something he's passionate about. He has a natural raw talent, and the guy is booked out 6 months in advance and gets paid minimum $1,500 a day. So go talk to a baby boomer who's earning that type of money doing what they want to do.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
Back in my day.
That guy's winning. He's fucking winning.
Yeah, he knows his life.
The Be Bold segments, there's 16 of those now. We launched those a few months ago. Do you guys have a favorite Be Bold?
Yeah, dude, I have a couple that I really like, and then I have a favorite. I think two that I really like that are sort of related are Don't Be a Dick and Make Someone's Day.
What'd you like about Don't Be a Dick?
Well, first of all, the title, and then that someone actually
Is it
tried
because
to.
that dick in there?
Yeah.
You sick.
You like
I
it.
was kidding.
And then my favorite one has got to be Plan B. Fuck Plan B. Like I think that's my favorite because I can relate to that, having worked a night job while Kane's laughing at me.
Kane wrote the title for that one.
Oh, did he?
Fuck Plan B.
Yeah, I like that. No, like because I can relate to that. We're working a night job and doing real estate during the day for a long time actually, and now just going full-time real estate where, that little thought in my head comes in and goes, well, if this doesn't work out, there's always this. But then I have to shake that and go, there is no what if this doesn't work out. This is going to work out. And it's that whole, I think it's in, what's the book, Think and Grow Rich, where he talks about burning the ships.
Oh, burning the ships, yeah, like on the island.
Yeah, like the commander of the military, like,
you want to win the battle, burn the ships.
Yeah, so there's
you
no
can't flee.
possible thought of retreat.
Yeah.
Burn the ships.
Yeah, I love that too.
That goes in line with one of my favorite ones, like be offensive, not defensive. Stop projecting all the negatives and just continue pushing forward. You know what I mean? Stop thinking about all the negatives. If you get a problem, start coming up with solutions. You know what I mean? I feel like as realtors, we kind of encounter that every day. And other realtors that don't see that way, they start getting emotionally involved and they start yelling at you over the phone. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa. I've had this a couple of times where you're like, look, lady, I'm approaching you with a solution. Like, stop focusing on the problem. Jesus.
Right.
One more, dude. I got to bring this up. Learn and love the haters.
Yes.
You know why I'm bringing this up.
Yeah.
We can't name any names.
Yeah, it's a good one.
The timing was perfect.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Just because you hear about it all the time. You hear people talking shit. They're hating on whether it's The Office or whether
Haters
it's one person,
hate,
whether it's
hate.
Taylor Swift. It's just good to recognize where that comes from. It's insecurity.
Yeah, and it was talked about actually kind of in a similar light on recently where it's not me, it's you.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
Because it's true, it's easy to get rattled and feel like someone's trying to like rock your world and really try and offend you and hurt you and whatever, but like, dude, that's all on them. Like, it very rarely has anything to do with you, and if it does bother them, whatever it is that you are or not doing, like, to a certain extent, you kind of won.
And I was gonna say the bottom line is they're still talking about you. Good or bad, they're talking about you.
Is that what you told me the other night when I said like criticism? Is that what you told me the other night when I said something about criticism kind of showing their character, not yours? Is that why you said? It's like, are you quoting me? It's like, bro, what?
You're not listening to the podcast, bro?
No, I just edit it. Okay, I'm just the surgeon behind the scenes.
Sam, you have a favorite?
Yeah, I like a lot the one about make someone's day.
Yeah.
I think it's so when it's really important to give back and just to do good things. I mean, everybody always talks about that you have to give in order to receive, but it just the more and more you're blessed and you have business or your life is going in a good direction, it's just unbelievable that the more good that you do, it just comes back to you 10 times. But a lot of times when you start, people, like when you start a business or you're whatever and you're in the beginning stages, you want to put that stuff off. You're like, well, I'll give back when, and I know maybe taking a little out of context, but it's just so important to give at every stage during your success. Because like Jay, you mentioned one time, there was a speaker or a book that you read and says like, if you can't give 10% of what you're making now, when you have $10 million, you're not going to give 10%. Then it's just proportional. So.
That's Tony Robbins.
That's Tony Robbins.
Money Master the Game. He says that. He says if you can't give $100 of your 1,000 now, you won't give 10 million of your 100 million.
Yeah, it's so true.
Because he says the key to success is giving, and I believe that. Like when people say they can't do it, and we brought this up in a Be Bold one time, like when we were talking about Starbucks.
Oh yeah, if you can't
pay for it twice, you probably shouldn't pay for it once.
Right.
And you'd be surprised at how impactful that one little gesture is. Like, it has nothing to do with the money. Just by doing it, the person behind you is like, oh shit, like, did that guy really just do that, or that girl really just do that? Because it was so like unsolicited and just like done. You'll never get recognition from it, like, except for that one lady.
I was just
gonna
say, except for that one lady who like Googled your license plate or something.
Yeah,
like that.
That was cool. But like usually, you're gone. There's not even a hand wave. There's nothing, because you're gone by the time they even recognize it. So it's a done deal. So in their head and in their mind, like they're thinking, damn, like what did I do to deserve that? I really need to like take that and pay it forward to someone else now. You know, you build the momentum. And even on that episode where I say saying hi to somebody, like if you ever notice when you're in an elevator and there's that awkward silence, if you just look at the person next to you and spark a conversation with them and say hello to them, you're the one who like now feels more energy, you know, like, and you're sharing it in that moment. Like it's not so dead. You're actually like building momentum and you're more positive. You're probably standing a little straighter. Like I don't know, it just builds like this confidence.
I completely agree. It's like we do it to be selfless, but it's almost like it becomes such a selfish thing because it makes you feel so good. And on top of it, it changes the way that you think. It changes the way that you act towards people, whether it's in social interactions or business. And it honestly just brings so much more your way. It actually pays you back 10 times. You know, we were before we did the soup kitchen just this week when we were all there, the last church service I went to was just like talking about, it was really weird, but it was talking about like, you know, homeless people and just like seeing people like making eye contact. And you ask them like, you know, when's the last time those people probably heard their name, like when they were able to say their name. So when we're serving,
that's an interesting thought. Like I never thought about that.
And the guy's like, I see you. And so, you know, it was interesting because I was like, as we're serving, you know, and I noticed, you know, when you would say hi to someone or just ask them how they're doing, I mean, some of these people's eyes just lit up. Just like goes back to what you said, just, you know, giving them the time.
This is making me think back when I was in college. I took, you know, one of these classes where they were talking about the psychology of gift giving, like giving somebody a gift. Yeah, sure, the person receiving the gift feels great, but there's also that satisfaction if I give you a gift, like you're getting something out of that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And plus, it costs $0 to just be decent and smile at somebody.
It's true. It actually, they say, you know, if you want to positively impact like an environment, the second you walk into a room, you should walk in smiling with like your chest up a little bit, not like so droopy. And when you do, because anytime a door opens in a room, everyone looks to see who opened that door. Right. So you can immediately impact every single person who just saw you. And if you just smile, that will change everything versus if you're wearing the stress all over your face, you know? My two favorite Be Bolds were Quit Your Shit Job. Yeah. Probably, I'm just super passionate about that because of my experience.
Your shit job that you used to have?
Because my shit job that I had, yeah. In fact, I talk about it on the Work Smart podcast with Ray Gillenwater. And I go through that whole thing and kind of talk about my whole story as to how I got into real estate and whatnot. Quit your shit job is huge. I remember there's that quote from the Dalai Lama that says, if you don't like where you are, move. You're not a tree. Right. Like it's crazy because yes, it is that simple. Yeah. For most people, yes, it is that simple. And then the other one was the Intangible Value and A Mexican Fable, where, you know, the Mexican Fable was in the 4-Hour Work Week. Yep. And it's just basically the nuts and bolts of that story, for those who haven't heard it, is basically like you've got this Mexican fisherman who catches fish every day, just a few to feed his family. And a tourist questions him and just says, like, you know, why you're really good at that? Why are you only catching this many? And he says, because this is enough for me and my family. He goes, well, what do you do with the rest of your time? And he's like, well, I hang out with my family. I take a nap. I have dinner with them in the village. I play guitar with my amigos. I live a great life. And the tourist is thinking, like, this is crazy. Like, you can capitalize so much on your talent. You just need to go catch more and more and more fish. And what you can do is you can then buy more boats and then start a company and then move to New York. And the Mexican is just responding with like, okay, well, then what? Then what? Then what? Then what? And he's getting to this big elaborate, like, dude, you're going to sell your shit off for like X amount of dollars and you're going to be a millionaire. And he's like, damn, well, like, then what? What happens when I'm a millionaire? And the whole thing, what the tourist says is, he says, well, after you become a millionaire, then you can do whatever you want. You know, you can just chill with your family and take naps and play guitar and hang out at the village all day. It's like,
bro,
and not a very observant tourist.
But it was like, 45 years later, though. You know,
yeah, but it's going to take 45 years to do it. But yeah, like that's so interesting because to a certain extent, like, everyone's doing that same rat race. There's a balance. Like, there's a point at which, like, you're cool, like you're taken care of, and if you could just find the balance and then trade time for money and back and forth every once in a while, you'd be way happier than just going after the money. And then, of course, the same goes with don't just go for the time and be a starving artist who's bummed out that they can't afford rent. You know, there's a balance to everything.
Right.
Oh, you're looking at me, put me on the spot. Well, since we're on this topic, it's just, I guess that's why I like Ray Gillenwater. He was very simple, and he did all of those things. Now, he's very young. He left his $500,000 salary. Like, he totally, forgot about the whole the part where the guy was going, like, go to New York, go public, and whatnot. And he just said, cool, start my own thing now. Just, like, do it. Very simple dude. And he's the dude playing guitar with his amigos.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the stories of struggle. Like, I mean, I like hearing from everybody the undertones of how hard it was, and because it just makes you always think, like, man, somebody has it worse. Someone had it harder. Like, anything is possible. Like, nobody has an excuse. There's always someone that had it worse, period. And so I just want to know how bad it could have been, because then I can never have an excuse. Like, it keeps me on my toes and motivated, and it's pumped up. It pumps me up to know that that are people just like, like us.
And hopefully it does for everyone. That's really what the purpose of this podcast is, and why it was designed, is so that we could actually, like, take these stories on this platform and showcase them out and get people in to share them, and then have other people really receive them and be able to, like, consume them, digest them, and then work them into their life on some level. Another cool thing about, since April 1st, like, doing this, that has really just been awesome, is getting guests on the show that I never thought we would get, Like, it's just still the beginning, but it's pretty cool that, we were able to interview a professional athlete, Gary Matthews Jr.
Right. Dude, great storyteller.
Dude, the guy signs a $50 million contract, and he's in our office, like, talking to us about his story.
And we made him cry.
Yeah, and
that's my next question. I was going to ask if we had anybody cry on the show yet.
Gary Matthews Jr. He got a little emotional when he was telling us a story about how he remembers watching his dad play in Dodger Stadium. He was being held. He was holding his uncle's hand. And then flash forward however many years, he's in center field looking up in the same area and sees his son holding his brother's hand, who's the son's uncle, obviously. And he said it came full circle that way. And he got goosebumps on Cambro.
Yeah, we had two people crying.
Yeah. Yeah, but he got a little emotional. And that was an awesome moment, I thought, because I think we just kind of sat there and we were like, dude, this dude's hitting something deep right now.
Yeah, I don't even think we asked him many questions, actually. He just kind of went, he
transitioned like perfectly to real estate.
He took the show and let it go, man.
And then the other guest that I was super stoked to have on the show was James Hart. Because, I remember 18 Visions back in the day, and specifically I remember this one show. It was, I think it was in June 2002 at Showcase Theater, and I watched Norma Jean open the show. They had just changed their name from Ludacris to Norma Jean. They had no merch. They had no CD out, nothing. They fucking killed the show. Josh Scogan was the singer. It was amazing. Every Time I Die played, Bleeding Through played, and then 18V played. And James Hart, man, like, in that scene was total rock god. People loved James Hart. So it's cool, like, now coming up and seeing, like, all the people in the community, and, like, Brandon Schappetti from Bleeding Through owns Rise Above Fitness. Alex had Len at CrossFit, and James is at Gods and Heroes, and he's still playing music. Like, there's a lot of people in the industry. In fact, Keith Barney from Throwdown and Adamantium, he's Ray Gillenwater's business partner.
You kidding me?
No.
Dude, that's a small world.
It's super small world. I mean, it's pretty cool to, like, feel how tight-knit the community is in Orange County and see what all the great things people are doing, and that there's really this, like, think tank, and it really is this idea share community where you can speak with people across all different industries. And we've gotten guests in here, and almost every single guest ends the show by saying, well, first off, that was so much fun, and secondly, you really got to contact so-and-so.
Right.
Like, because they have another person that they want to put on the show.
That's how we got talking about most interesting guy, Eric Mesplay.
Oh, dude.
How did we
skip that?
Yeah, Jeremiah referred him to us. And he referred Gary Matthews Jr., Jeremiah did.
Yeah, Jeremiah's was good too. And Jeremiah, dude, the guy is 25 years old and just crushing it. Yeah. Like, killing it, man. It's such an inspiration.
Well, ever since the podcast.
Well, yeah, of course.
So, brush your shoulders off, guys.
So we should probably reel this thing in.
What do you off the rails here?
What do you guys see over the next 6 months or so?
Well,
with the
yeah, we're
podcast?
working on a couple big names, I think, aren't we?
We are.
One of the things I have saved on my desktop, this is just something I look at every once in a while, it says, and this is just a quote I like to read, entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't.
Yep, it's great.
I like that.
Yeah.
True sacrifice.
I feel like we should start getting like some physicists and scientists going on, because that is really a field of passion. You
Yeah,
know what I
that's
mean?
true.
It's like curiosity and passion, and you're always going to find adversity there and challenging all these paradigms, and you know what I mean? That'd be flipping badass.
That would be badass. So, for those of you listening, which is everyone, everyone in the world, if you can hear my voice,
Ficaditos.
if you know of a guest, even if it's yourself, you want to be on the show, please contact us directly. You can go to prestigelivingpodcast.com. Please follow us on Instagram, Prestige Living Podcast. And again, we
Like
would
us on Facebook.
Yep, like us on Facebook. We would really appreciate a 5-star review on iTunes, as well as some positive feedback. It's very, very helpful. We'd like to get these downloads up and continue growing. You know, we in the first 2 weeks of launching, we were ranked number 3 in the new and noteworthy section on iTunes for the business podcast, and
on the same page with Tim Ferriss.
Yep, same page as Tim Ferriss. I screen capped that shit, and it was awesome. But anyway, yeah, this is just a thank you to all of the listeners. Again, thank you so much for the support from Sammer, Kane, Jordan, and myself. We really appreciate it, and please continue to support Prestige Living Podcast and get some guests on the show.
Are we going to all
Anything
say
else?
thank you in unison?
Oh, I thought
gonna
Jay was
sing
thinking for
Thank
us.
you, thank you,
We love
thank
you.
you.
Cue the music. Don't go, don't go,
If you know be a great guest, we'd love to hear your story.
Well, you got to continue it.
Visit www.prestigelivingpodcast.com.
We'd love to hear your story.
Hey, just for those that don't know, I did all the voices there. If you know anyone that want to be on, I can't even do it. Prestige Living Podcast.
Prestige Living Podcast at Shack's Fifth Avenue. End it.
If you would like to be on the Prestige Living Podcast or know someone that would be a great guest, go to www.prestigelivingpodcast.com. We'd love to hear your story.